Our readings today give us two models of faith. Naaman from the first reading and the unnamed Samaritan from our gospel. Both of them suffering from the illness of leprosy. They come to God, they ask for healing from him, they follow his commands, and then they receive the blessing of healing. And it would be wonderful if in our lives, if we followed their motto, if when we were suffering, we came to God and asked for help. We were able to discern what he wanted us to do. We obeyed his commands, and then we too received healing. That would be a great thing. But that is not why these two men are models of faith for us. Because there were 9 other lepers in our gospel. 9 other men who came to Jesus and asked for healing. 9 other men who obeyed Jesus' command. 9 other men who received healing. And so what's special about Naaman and the unnamed Samaritan that just those two are models for us? Well, what's special about them is that when they receive this blessing of healing, it draws them closer to God. The two of them, unlike the other 9, they both give thanks to God. And if we look at our readings carefully, they show us that when they give thanks, this act of thanksgiving, it brings them closer to God. And so, with the unnamed Samaritan, before giving thanks, our gospel tells us he stood at a distance from Jesus and raised his voice, saying, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." Suffering from this contagious skin disease, he had to stay far off. But then when he returns to give thanks, he fell at the feet of Jesus and thanked him. And so thanksgiving, it moves him from being far off to being able to touch the body of God, to be at his feet. And it's likewise with Naaman from the first reading. Naaman, he was from Syria. He worshipped the pagan gods of Syria, gods of violence, of war, of bloodshed. And suffering from leprosy, he had prayed to them for help. And all of them had failed him. And so at last he turns to the God of Israel and he asks for help from the God of Israel. And the God of Israel saves him. And so then he gives thanks and he says, "Now I know that there is no God in all the earth except in Israel. And I will no longer offer a holocaust or sacrifice to any other god except to the Lord." And so in his act of thanksgiving, he puts aside the false gods of the Syrians in order to faithfully worship the God of Israel, the God who saves, the God who we call Jesus Christ. And so in his thanksgiving, he draws closer to God. And so the lesson of our scriptures for all of us is that when we receive blessings with thanksgiving, we will then receive a greater blessing. We will draw closer to God. We will strengthen our relationship with him. And so thanksgiving for blessings, it gives us the greater blessing of strengthened relationships. And this is a universal law. It doesn't just pertain to our relationship with Christ, but it pertains to every blessing. With every blessing, if we give thanks, we can receive a greater blessing. We can deepen our relationships. And so, what are these blessings that we receive in our life? Well, I think we can call to mind the blessing of a gift. You know, maybe a nice piece of clothing, a dress that fits well and is flattering, a pair of boots that are going to last for a long time, a nice jacket that keeps us warm when it's cold and wet outside. You know, these are good things, and it's good to receive them. It's good to enjoy them. And when we receive them, we ought to give thanks. We ought to express our gratitude to the giver. And in doing that, it will strengthen our relationship with the person who gave the gift. And that in turn will be a greater blessing than the gift itself. Because clothes can certainly be a good gift, but eventually they won't fit anymore. Or eventually they're going to wear out. Whereas the relationship with the gift giver, that can last for a long, long time. And, I mean, of course, when we experience joy, when we experience sorrow, we can't share that with the gift, with the clothes. but certainly the gift giver, they can enter into our experience. They can draw close to us, and that is a tremendous blessing. I think another blessing that we often experience in our lives is the blessing of success. Think of a student who studies hard and they pass a difficult math test. Or think of a barber who has skill at giving haircuts. Or just think of the blessing of having a healthy family, having children that grow up in the faith. These are great blessings, and it's wonderful to enjoy them. And I think with these sort of blessings, these blessings of success, sometimes it can be harder to give thanks to other people for them. We can experience the blessing, and we can understand that this was the result of my work, right? I was the student that stayed up late studying. I was the barber who put in the time practicing in order to improve my skill, right? And so it can be harder to figure out how we can give thanks for these things. But our gospel certainly challenges us to find a way to give thanks to someone else for our success, to find a way to share our success with someone else. For instance, the student might recognize that, last night Mom cooked a good meal and that sustained me as I was studying. Or the barber could recognize how their family and friends put up with some substandard haircuts while they were still trying to improve their skills. Or the parent who's very pleased with how their children are developing. They might call to mind the fact that when they were struggling, how they complained to their friend and their friend listened to their complaints. And so if we do this, if we share the credit for our blessings of success with other people, then it's going to open us to a greater blessing, because success that is shared with other people is so much sweeter than just success we experience on our own. And so now, I think we should turn back to our readings. In our readings, these 11 people, they experienced the blessing of healing. This miraculous blessing that came from outside them. It was a fortunate event, and it was a tremendous thing. Leprosy had cut them off in the community, and now they have the opportunity to be with other people again, to contribute to society. It's an incredible blessing. And so our readings, it shared with us how 11 people were healed, and that was a great blessing. But what the reading doesn't go on to say then is that those 11 men, once again, they will grow sick. And perhaps they'll recover from their illness again. But eventually, those 11 who were healed, they will get sick and they will not recover. Right? All of us, eventually, we will grow ill and we will not recover. Eventually, all of us will die. And this is the way it is with every blessing. Whether it's a gift, whether it's success, whether it's good health, or whether it's even those relationships that are a greater blessing. All these blessings will pass away. All of them will wear away. And so, there is only one thing that will not pass away. And that is Jesus Christ. And so that is why Naaman, that is why the unnamed Samaritan are models in faith. Because receiving this tremendous blessing, they recognized the importance of giving thanks to God, of receiving, yes, this good blessing, but then turning to the blessing that is even greater, the blessing of Jesus Christ, his love for us. By thanksgiving, we attain to him, the good that lasts. And here at every Mass, we get to experience this. Very soon, Father Tom is going to lead us in the Eucharistic prayer, the prayer of thanksgiving. That's what Eucharist means, thanksgiving. And so in this prayer, we're going to thank God for all the blessings that he has given us. And then he is going to draw near to us, coming down into the gifts of bread and wine upon the altar. And then he's going to call us forward. And as we come forward to receive him, we will receive this tremendous gift of receiving God into our very blessing, into our very bodies. And when we do this, when we come forward, he is going to say to us, "Go in peace. Your faith has saved you."